Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and the date today is Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. I've been doing a countdown of my favorite video games of all time through each day of the year, and coming in at number 120 is Gator. So, you might be wondering, what is Gator? Why is it better than, for example, Halo Reach? And when did EXO start doing the amount of drugs necessary for that opinion? Well, the answers, in order, are fun, and not fun because I'm boring. This Game Boy game made me break my own rules for this channel. In my very first video, I explained that in order to make it onto my rankings, I had to have enough hands-on experience with the game to give an informed opinion, and that would have had to happen before January 1st, 2024. Well, I first learned about Gator when Old Gamer's Almanac did a Game Boy tournament with a deep dive on the catalog in December of 2023. None of them had ever heard of this game, which from what I can tell is normal, and they all immediately fell in love with it. It made it really far into their tournament. So fast forward a bit to March when I got a Mii Mini Plus, which is a handheld emulator shaped kind of like a Game Boy, and comes preloaded with pretty much every title for Game Boy, NES, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, and many more things. And one of the first things I did was check out Gator to see what I had been missing. I immediately cleared a spot for it on my rankings. Gator slaps. And incidentally, that is what you do in the game. You are a bipedal gator and you slap enemies with your tail. Each world has 4 stages and each stage has a string of rooms before you get back to the starting room for that world. Up top is the sky stages where you're largely platforming on clouds that you slowly sink through if you don't jump. On the bottom is the underwater stages, which doesn't have regular jumping, instead featuring exclusively swimming. In the middle 2 stages are primarily regular, solid platforms, but with occasional game elements from whichever extreme they're closer to. Once you clear all 4 stages in a world, then you beat that world and move on to the next one, where you have to do it again, but different layouts for that world. Your only buttons are movement and attacking. You attack things by slapping with your tail, usually enemies or chests. You gain points whenever you defeat an enemy, but they'll respawn after a little bit. Chests contain either items worth points, power-ups, health, or bombs, which clears the screen as soon as you pick them up. The last chest you open in each room will unlock the door to the next room. Additionally, there's hidden elements to the game, such as invisible chests, usually with some of the more helpful possible drops. Depending on the world you're in, the end of one of the 4 branching sections will have a world boss too. There's a power-up that you get at the start of the boss fight, and you can piece this together throughout the other stages, but it does guarantee you get it for the boss. This allows you to, instead of just hitting things with your tail, launch like a power attack wave, like little tail Kamehameha, like your Goku or something, but as your little gator body. It's pretty fun. Most enemies die in 1 to 3 hits, but bosses take a lot more work, with much more complex attacks that you'll have to dodge. There's a real learning curve to all of this, and it's very rewarding, with the controls also being quite responsive and fun. The game has a simple design with interesting wrinkles in the levels and quick gameplay that makes me always want to come back for more. Plus, the music is some of the best anyone's ever put on the original Game Boy. There's something to be said about the game feel using a Game Boy too. The Mii copying that layout is noticeable because I've almost exclusively played this on that, but I recorded it on my Steam Deck because I can't get screen capture with sound on the Mii, and I have to admit that the game is more fun on the tiny little handheld. Maybe it's just because that's how it was designed and it just, I don't know, feels right? But Tailgater is an absolute diamond in the rough. Like, just look at that guy. How can you say no to a gator with boots? Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 119th favorite game, where I learned for certain I should not run an amusement park.